8.3 Test Justification Resubmission. Component of fitness, power, test selected, standing vertical jump test. I believe this test is suitable as the client will be present in most corner kicks due to his position, and having a higher vertical will give him a better chance of scoring the ball. This test was invalid as the client used different techniques every time. Although this occurred, it was per my instructions and because the client had an ankle injury, making jumping more difficult for him. Therefore, I changed the standardized approach to better suit the client. The results also show the test as unreliable, as the test was repeated 3 times, and results differ greatly each time, indicating the test cannot accurately measure what it is supposed to. This test was practical, as it was not technical for the researcher, as I only had to read Dale's record information, and due to changing the approach of the exercise, there was less risk of injury to the client. Component of fitness, balance, test selected, stored balance test. This balance test is suitable for the client, as the client will likely be jockeyed off the ball when playing, and therefore will find it easier to keep control of the ball and hold off defender if balance is improved. The test was valid as it followed a standardized approach, with hands on hips and his non-supporting leg against the inside of his supporting leg. Technique was the same in both tests. The test produced reliable results, as there are not any external factors that can affect the client, except for noise, which can easily be avoided. This test was repeated twice, and the client had similar results of 23 and 21 seconds. It is valid as the main focus of the test is balance and showed similar results. This test is practical as it is not very time consuming and only takes half a minute or more to do the test. Not technical, as the researcher only has to count as long as the client stays balanced to give the results of their test. Component of fitness, flexibility, test use, sit and reach test. This flexibility test is suitable for the client as it can make it easier for the client when trying to control the ball or get the ball back when tackling opponents. This test was valid as it followed a standardized approach where the client's legs were completely flat against the floor. The client was not allowed to reach back before stretching and had to hold the stretch for 3 seconds. The test showed reliability with data of 20.2 and 20.9. There are no external factors that affected the client's data. The test was practical as it did not cause any stress on the participant, as it only consisted of stretching and had no risk of injury. Not time consuming as it did not take long to set up and go through the test, and not technical for the researcher as they only need to be able to read the number shown on the sit and reach box. Component of fitness, strength, test used, 30-second setup test. This test is suitable for the client as he can be pushed off the ball a lot by defenders, and therefore a better core strength can help hold off defenders. The test was valid as it followed a standardized approach where the client's knees were at a 90-degree bend, with feet being held down flat on the floor for support, and his arms were across his chest on both attempts. The test showed as invalid because data differed greatly. On the first attempt, a score of 13 was achieved, and on the second, a score of 9 was achieved, which does not seem valid as schools should have been between plus or minus 2 of each other. The test also seems unreliable as it tested the client's muscular endurance as the movement was repeated many times, as well as the client's strength. Although the client was given a break between the first and second testing, this may be why scores differed. The test was practical as it is easy for the researcher to measure and record the data, and the test was fairly simple. Component of fitness, strength, test use, hand grip dynamometer. This test is suitable as arm strength can be useful in holding players off when the ball is being held by the client, and when trying to create space between players in the box to allow for an easier heading opportunity. This test was invalid as it mainly tested the strength of the client's forearm strength and not the whole of his arm. The test was reliable as it gave consistent results, all within 2 kilograms of a previous reading. This test was also invalid because when trying to change the dynamometer to match with Leo's age, it could not go down to 17, and therefore Leo had to work at the age of 18, and therefore the results likely would have been higher if recorded at the correct age, but also showed signs of practicality as results were easy to record for the researcher, as it was reading a data and there was no high risk of injury to the client. Component of fitness, body fat composition. Test used, skin fold caliper. I believe this test would be suitable as due to the client's position and nature of the sport, speed needed to be improved, and therefore a measure of body fat composition can give an idea of where fat could be changed for muscle or could be dropped to get less weight. I believe this test was valid as the skin fold caliper was made specifically to test body fat composition, and therefore there was no chance of measuring anything else. This test was reliable as the approach was followed in a standardized way, and the similar results were found as each test from different location was done twice. This test showed signs of practicality and impracticality, as the test was easy to measure for the researcher, but can be sensitive for the client during the test and when comparing it to normative data.